All right, let me first show you the agenda, what exactly we're going to talk about today. So first, we'll have a look at some problems, faults or defects, some common ones, and then we'll talk about repairing or fixing them. And last but not least, we'll talk about safety measures, so how to repair or fix some problems being safe at the same time. All right. First of all, what I would like you to do is to have a look at some things around the house. I'm pretty sure you know, well, I'm sure you know all of them, and tell me what they are in English. Don't worry if you don't know. Don't worry if you won't manage to write something down, because you will see all the words later on in the presentation. So what is this? I see some good answers, but let's wait a little longer. All right, so this one's a bulb or a light bulb. Thank you. What about this? What is this? Waiting for your answers. What is this? You use it every day, a lot of times. Right, so this one's a tap. Thank you. Now, what about this one? Who knows what this is? Right, very good. Right, so this one's a plug. How about this one? Who knows what this is? We can actually see a problem with it. Right, someone asks if it's a cable, and yes, you could say it's a cable. Any other words for that? We could actually use two more. Just a cable. Okay, it could also be a cord or a lead. All right. Now, what about this? This one's simple and easy. Who knows what this is? This one, yeah, of course, it's a nail. Now, what about these? Any answers? Just remember the spelling. Of course, it's a batteries, double T. Now, what's this? Just a little bit more difficult, perhaps. Might also have a problem with it at home. What could it be? Who knows? Right, see. No, nobody knows. So this one's a socket. Okay, it's a socket. You'll see it later on. What about this one? This one's easy. I'm sure you know it. And have it at home and use it from time to time. Yeah, of course, this one's a hammer. Now, what about this one? This one's a little bit more challenging. Who knows? Okay, there's I see the first one, so it's an extension. What? It's an extension. Does anybody know? Extension cord or a lead, depending. Yes. Thank you, Jan. So it's extension cord or a lead. What about this one? Might see it in the bathroom, or usually it's inside the wall, but sometimes you can see them and have a problem with them. Very good, Maria. Right. Yes, Janusz, thank you. Of course, it's a pipe. What about this one? Well, could be three things, really. Yes, it could be a lock. We could also have a problem with something you... Yes, thank you. The handle that you hold to open the door, or just the door could be a problem in itself. What about this? Or these? Who knows? Silver or silvery, cutlery, that's also good. Very good. Right, so we have a fork here, a knife, spoons, different spoons. Okay, what about this one then? Who knows? You might use it to water your plants in the garden, especially now it's so hot. What is this? Very close. Someone wrote something similar, but the spelling is a little bit different. So it's a hose. Okay, this one's a hose. Now, what about this one? Sure, all gentlemen know it and use it and have it at home. Yes, this one's a drill. Very useful at times. Okay, what is this? One of my favorite tools. I often use it myself. It is a tape. It's just a specific kind of tape because it's a measure tape, right? Because it's for measuring. What about this one? Something you can see when you open your door or when you shut your door. Maybe a little bit more difficult. So yes, very good. So these are hinges, thank you, or a hinge. And last but not least, a little bit more difficult. Don't know if you know this one. Just a little bit different. Well, this one, yes, very close, very close. So this one is a clamp, just a clamp, not a clamper. Oh, righty. Right, so what can be wrong with these things? What are these, by the way? Does anybody know? What are these? Does anybody know what the picture shows? What are these? They're kind of big. I see. Okay, so screws, but they might be a little bit bigger, okay? So these are bolts, and they are very old, exactly. But what could be the problem? What's wrong with them? As you can see in the picture, well, right, thank you. They are rusty. That's right. So what is rust? This kind of brown reddish substance that forms on iron or steel when they get wet. Of course, they can. The bolts can also be loose, right? So not firmly fixed in place. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at another thing. Might have a problem with batteries, of course. What problem could we have with batteries? Who knows? Waiting for your answers. Who knows? What problem might we have with batteries? Yes, you might want to get rid of them because they are. What's wrong? Yeah, well, yes, some of you are close. Okay, you can see they're flat. They're flat. Okay, so no good. And you might actually want to get rid of them. Now, what about these? What are these? Please use chat to say what you can see in the picture. These are, of course, these are scissors. And what problem can you see? Well, they don't look too good, do they? What can you see? What's the problem with the scissors? Yeah, they might be broken, some of them, yes, but and rusty, that's right. And you might say they are blunt, which means they're not sharp. Okay, you cannot use them to cut paper or some of the material. Okay, let's go on. What about a light bulb? You've already told me, you know what this is. So what problem might we have with a light bulb? What do you think? What's the problem? If it doesn't give a light, then what? Thank you, Monica. Of course, it's burnt out. It's burnt out, exactly. Thank you. Now, another thing that we have here is a, what is it? Can you help me? What do you see in here? Well, you might not see any problem with it, but, well, first of all, what is it? Where's the key? Exactly, in a lock. Thank you. What problem might we have with the lock? Any ideas? What could be the problem with a lock? Any ideas? Anyone? Yeah, of course, it could be rusty. Yeah, like you might have a problem with opening it. Exactly. Why? Well, why? Because it's, of unlocking it actually, because it might be stiff. Like it's, if something is stiff, it's difficult to move. So it's difficult to turn the key in it. Yeah, there might be a wrong key, exactly. But you might also have a problem with the lock. Not a problem with the key, but with the lock, that it's rusty or that it's jammed. Oh, right. So it's impossible, like you can't put a key in it. It's impossible to move it because, well, it got stuck, right? Like maybe there's something inside and it's just, yeah, it's like it's stuck. Now, what about a book, of course? What problem might we have? What could be wrong with a book? You can't see it in the picture, but if you think of a book that you've had for a long time, that maybe your children have been using, or some animals like a dog, what problem could that be? Who has some ideas? Yeah, exactly right. There could be some dog ears, thank you, ripped, yeah, like into pieces especially, but you could also say it's just torn. right? Torn would be the third form of which verb? Can you help me here? What is it? Which verb is it a third form of? Torn. Who knows? First form is right, thank you. This is to tear, right? Tear. So damage something by pulling it too hard. Alrighty. Now, what about this thing? We talked about it at the very beginning. This is a hose, right, for watering your plants. Now, what problem could we have with a hose? What comes to your mind? Yeah. Like there might be something inside, which means it's, yeah, you could just say it's broken, or you could say it's blocked. All right. What if there's a hole or a crack in it? Okay, yeah, some good answers. Right. You could also say it's leaking, right? So there's a crack in it or a hole, and it just lets liquid or gas flows through it or flow out. So leaking or blocked. Now, what do we have here? Looks like a printer, but what I'd like us to focus on is the paper trays where you put paper. What problem could we face here? Well, in this one, you can see paper, it's kind of loaded with paper, but if there's no paper, the problem we face is that it's empty. So that was easy. All right. Now we have some electrical connection in here. What could be the problem here? Oh, this one's maybe more challenging. Alrighty. Well, we could simply say that this connection is loose. Yep, yeah. Right. Fuse is a good word to use in this context, right? So again, if it's loose, it's not firmly fixed in place. Okay, let's go on to something easier. That's a glass, obviously. And what problem can we see here? It's cracked. Beautiful. Yes, it is. So you can see a crack on the surface of this glass. So maybe it's not too safe to drink from it. As water will, as it will leak, right? Or you might hurt yourself. Someone says chipped, but we'll use it later on. Not really. This one's cracked. So there's a crack in it. Now, what can be wrong with a table? What problem do you think? Think of a table being not stable, like if one of the legs is too short. Right, so it kind of moves unsteadily from one side to another. Yes, so then you could say the table's wobbling or it's wobbly. Okay. Now, what about a string? What about a string? What can you see in here? What problem do we have in here? Any ideas? I'm shaking. See, they don't look too nice to me. Yeah, maybe, but maybe they're a little bit twisted, right? So it bends in many directions so that it's like you can't see, or it's lost its original shape. You could also say they're tangled, right? Like you can have tangled hair, for instance, like when you wake up in the morning. Alrighty, and last but not least, let's have a look at I'm wondering if you remember what this is. I asked you about it at the very beginning of our meeting. Any ideas what that might be? Yes, yeah, right. You could say it's a cable, a lead, or a cord. And the problem we can see here, if you look at this plastic part closely enough, we could say it's split. So it's torn, it's broken. Split also means it's divided into parts, like with your with hair ends. All right. Now let's practice. And I need your help now. Number 1, please use chat to answer the question. I cannot water plants. There is some problem with the hose. I think it's waiting for your answers. What's the problem with the hose? What's the problem? Yeah, you could. Right, you could say it's leaking, or you could say it's simply blocked. That's right. You won't cut it with these scissors. Why not? Because they are not sharp to help you. What's the opposite of sharp? Very good, Ivana. Right. Yes, they are blunt, simply. Now, I cannot unlock the door. The lock must be... What could be the problem with the lock? Remember? Oh, there were three possibilities. Yes, very good. Could be jammed. And some more examples. You can't use the backpack because the strap, this thick, this kind of narrow band of some strong material that you can see in the picture. The strap is what's wrong? Just like we used that word about the book. Thank you. Of course, this strap stored. Now watch it. Don't drink from this glass because it's. Remember? What was the problem with the glass? Thank you. Of course, it's cracked. Now, something's wrong with the socket. The screws are too... What's the problem with the loose? Of course, they are too loose. Thank you. Okay, let's now have a look at these words again and say, well, what else can be flat? Does anything come to your mind? Not necessarily a problem, a defect, but what else can be flat? If you, for instance, think of a, oh, thank you, very good answer. Yeah, that's what I meant. If you think of a, yeah, flat battery, but if you think of a car, what could be flat? Right, some good answers. Yes, a tire could be flat, which means there's not enough air inside and you can't really drive. Or a drink can become a flat, a fizzy drink, sorry, so it's lost the bubbles of gas. It's like still now. Rusty. What can get rusty? And I don't mean anything physical, anything you can touch. This one's maybe a bit more challenging. Right. So your memory can become rusty, which means it's, well, not as good as it used to be. And now if you look at the person in the picture, well, someone working too hard or perhaps for too long in one place can be burnt out, which means they probably should change their job. Now, what else can be jammed? What comes to your mind? Jammed. What else can be jammed? Yeah, someone says, yeah, right. Not sure about session, but a traffic is a good guess. Yes, traffic or paper in a photocopier. So that's something we've already talked about. Yeah, what about loose? What else can be loose? We talked about loose screws, connection, electrical connection. What else could be loose? What comes to your mind? Anything. Just take a wild guess. It's really simple. Yeah, of course, chain could be loose, or clothes, exactly. So your belt, the thing around your belly that you use to support your trousers. Your tooth could be loose, right? Or your clothes, exactly. What about split? What comes to your mind? What can be split? So split, it was like broken, torn, or divided into two parts. I can't wait for some more answers. Yes. Yes. Well, you could also say that a group. Yes, her's a good one. Yes, but you can say a group of people is split, or can be split because they disagree strongly with each other. You could also split the cost of something, which means there are two people, you pay 50% each for the thing, or your hair end could be split. And I'm sure, well, most women here know what this is because we often complain about that. Right. Now, let's practice again. I need to go to the dentist as quickly as possible. My tooth is... Waiting for your answers. Very good. Yeah, you were quick here. Lose. Now I need to change my job. I feel totally. Yeah, exactly. I feel totally burnt out. Thank you. Now, could you remind me? My memory's a bit, like I can't remember that well anymore. Who remembers this one? Thank you. Yes, you've done a very good guess. I mean, guess you remembered well. So my memory's a bit rusty. Very good. And some more. To remove your ends, you must cut them off. That's probably about your hair. So to remove, right. Split ends, thank you. Now the photocopier seems broken. No, there's just some paper in the paper tray. It's just some jammed paper, thank you. And I had a tire on the way home. All right, and if I again say I had a flat tire, exactly. Right, thank you. So now, if these problems happen, what can you do? How can you fix them? Let's now talk a little bit about fixing these problems. So, if screws are rusty or loose, what you have to do is, any guesses? What do you have to do? If screws are rusty, for instance, what should you do? Or lose? Anything that comes to your mind? Clean them up maybe with what exactly? All right, you're getting closer. All right, so maybe you have to lubricate them, right? So put a lubricant, some substance such as oil on it in order to make it more run more smoothly. Or if they are loose, you should probably tighten them, make them more tight. Now, if a battery is flat, what do you do? Think of your phone, your mobile phone. What if the battery of the phone is flat? What do you do? Right, thank you, Rota. Yes, you recharge it. Well, but with the kind of battery we've seen, you might have to replace it, right? So you replace it or recharge it. Now, what about scissors? What if they are blunt? What do you do? Or a knife is blunt. Oh, right, this one's easy. This one's easy. So you simply sharpen them. That's right. Okay, let's have a look at more examples. Now, if a lock is stiff, rusty, or jammed, what do you do? Any ideas, anyone? Yes, exactly. So you have to lubricate it or perhaps force it. Now, what's that? To force something is to make it move in a particular direction or a different position, especially by using physical force. So this is something you might have to do. Now, if a book is torn, what do you do? If a book is torn, I often do it with my son's books. Maybe you have the same problem. Well, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can buy a new book always, of course, but maybe you can fix it in some way. All right. So this is what you can do. You can tape it or sellotape it. Sellotape, it's the British one for Scotch tape, which is American. So you simply fasten it or stick it with a tape, right? Some kind of tape, sellotape. Now, if a hose is blocked or leaking, what you have to do is, any ideas? Right, yeah. Oh, well, there's a different word instead of seal. You can force air through it, okay? You can also patch it, so put a piece of cloth or perhaps some rubber over a hole, or you can simply throw it away if it's no good. More examples. What if the paper tray is empty? What do you do? Well, that's kind of obvious, but still, how do you say it in English? You have to, right, load it, or simply fill it, right? Fill it with paper. Now, if an electrical connection is loose, Well, this one's more difficult. You have to do something you see in the picture. What do you see in the picture? Do you know? What is this person? Thank you. Oh, someone's good at technical English. Thank you. Yes, you have to solder it. Very good. Or reattach it, so connect it again. Now, if a table's wobbling or if it's wobbly, what do you do? Well, I'm sure all of us have had this problem in our lives, so what do you usually do if your table's wobbling? Cut one leg. Very funny. Now, what else can you do? I'm not sure it would help, really, if you cut one leg. But yeah, of course, you can simply fold a piece of paper, bend a piece of paper, and put it under one of the legs. Right. Now, let's have a look at more examples of problems of defects now, okay? And here's actually a task for you to match the words with the pictures. So which things are scratched? Who knows? Which thing is scratched? Of course, the CD. Now, what about chipped? You know the word. I know you do because you've used it before. The cup is chipped, of course. And frayed, that would be about the shoelace. Would you like to use Polish in chat and say what frayed means? So if you look at the shoelace, it's like the thread are kind of loose. Yeah. So it's like, post-champion, I could say thank you, yes. Right, now what about these? Which of the things is corroded? Oh, that's simplish, too easy for you. But still, what? Of course, it's a chain. Now, what about crushed? Well, not exactly. Not the car, sorry. No, it's the boxes. The boxes are crushed, so it's like they're damaged because they've been pressed hard. Okay, and what is dented? The car, right? The car is actually dented. So someone hit it and made this this hollow, well, shape in this car. Alrighty. Now, which thing is bent if you study these pictures? What is bent? So no longer straight. To help you. Of course, the fork is bent. Now, what about dusty? That's easy. The car is dusty, of course, so covered with dust. So obviously the last one, worn, would be about the belt. Would you like to put it into Polish? Worn, old, damaged. You've simply been wearing it for too long. Yeah, of course, that's kind of obvious. Thank you for your translation. Okay. Now, let's do the same thing we did before. So let's look at the same words again and say, what else can be scratched? Instead, so we saw an example of a CD that was scratched. What else can be scratched if you think of it? So with some marks or cuts on it. Like if you have an animal, a pet at home, and you like playing with it. Yes, your face could be scratched, of course, or your hands, simply your skin, right? What about chipped? So what else can be chipped? What comes to your mind? Right, so yeah, a tooth could be chipped. So a small part missing. Frayed. Now this one's more difficult, so I'm going to show you because someone's temper could be frayed. And if that happens, the person's annoyed. Crushed, this one I'll also show you because someone's enthusiasm can be crushed, which means, well, they've been made to lose all hope and confidence, as the picture illustrates. So the boy looks kind of disappointed, right? Maybe he was looking forward to something, but his enthusiasm was crushed. Right, now what about dented? And this one I'm going to show you as well. Someone's confidence or pride can be dented. So to dent someone's pride, confidence is to cause that somebody has less of it. Bent. Okay. Well, of course, a nail could be bent or an aerial. say this is the piece of equipment for receiving or sending TV, television or radio signal, obviously. One, as you can see in the picture, is soles of shoes or boots in this example in the picture, right? So what you have at the very bottom of the shoe. Okay, let's now practice these words and their new meaning perhaps. So, wouldn't talk to him now. His nerves are, what would you say? Do you remember? His nerves are just like the shoelace, if you remember what it was. Not exactly jammed, no. Uh-huh. Right, that's good. His nerves are frayed. So he's a bit annoyed. Don't want to your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should wait a few days before going there, calling someone. Remember? We've just talked about this one. I don't want to. Who remembers? I don't want to, yes, crush your enthusiasm. Now you'd better take another cup because this one's easy. This one's, yeah, of course, this one is chipped. And more examples. Why is your skin so... Well, I've been playing with a cat. So those of you who keep cats probably often have this problem. Scratched, exactly. Now I need to visit a mechanic because the bumper of my car, as you can see in the picture, is... What was the word? Is dented, thank you. The chain is, it's all rusty. It's actually a synonym of rusty. This one's easy. Right. Yes, simply it's, well, not exactly loose. You could say it's corroded, right? So rusty means corroded. All right. Okay, thank you. Now, again, if we have these problems, how can we fix them? What can be done? Well, what needs doing? If you could have a look at these 3 sentences and try to complete them with the verbs on the left in this small table. So a corroded door needs, what do you think? Right, just careful with the form, okay? Look at the question. What needs doing? Right? So a corroded door needs servicing. Thank you. Loose bolts, what do they need? Just careful about the form. They need, if they are loose, well, they need to be tightened, so they need tightening. Yes, and a blunt blade needs to be, needs to be sharpened, so it means it needs sharpening, exactly. 2 more examples. Worn shoes, they need, well, just have a choice of 2 words. So what do worn shoes need is, I should perhaps buy a new pair. So they need, right, they need replacing. Thank you. And a scratched CD needs, well, it's just one left, so that's kind of obvious, right? It needs polishing. Now, mind you, the pronunciation of our nationality is Polish, but the verb here is polish, okay? So you can say, Polish students are listening to talk about polishing CDs, right? We're Polish and we polish things. I'm sure you can hear the difference. Okay, now let's keep talking about troubleshooting and fixing things. So here's another problem. The door makes a squeaking noise, nothing pleasant, very high noise that's usually not very loud. So when you move it, you hear a squeaking noise. So you could ask someone, well, have you tried oiling or lubricating the hinges, right? Hinges, remember this metal part used to fasten a door to its frame so that it swings open and shuts, right? Hinges. So you should oil or lubricate them to get rid of the noise, awful noise. Now, another problem. This yogurt's quite warm and it was in the fridge a minute ago. Also smells funny. Now, have you checked the temperature in the fridge, perhaps? So maybe the temperature is too high. So please notice some of the ways you can You can ask about problems or offer solutions, right? That's called troubleshooting. Have you checked? Have you tried? Or what you say, what needs doing, right? Okay, let's practice. These batteries are flat. Why don't you? Please help me. Use chat and say what you should do. Why don't you? Right, you should maybe recharge them, or, yeah, that's a possibility, or replace them. Now this tank you see in the picture is empty. What do we do with a container that's empty? Very good, Monica. Of course, you fill it. The door makes a squeaking noise, something we've just talked about. You should probably, if you remember, right, of course, oil or lubricate the hinges. Right, perfect. And two more exercises, two more puzzles for you actually, perhaps more, more questions. You won't cut anything with this knife. It's blunt, so it needs, what does it need? A blunt knife. It's not sharp, so it needs sharpening, of course. Now the loudspeaker on the right doesn't work. Have you, the cable is connected properly? Have you what? That's one of the troubleshooting questions. Exactly. Have you checked? Thank you. Now it's really difficult to turn the key. Have you tried what? Oiling, exactly. I'm sorry. Oiling the lock, lubricating the lock perhaps. Yeah, exactly. Or the forcing. Just careful with the form, right? Have you tried doing something, right? So perhaps forcing the lock. Exactly. Okay, and now I've got two puzzles for you. So you have a short dialogue in here. And right, tell me, what do the pictures stand for? Which words do they represent? This is no good. This drill goes, what's the, asks, what's wrong with it? Yep. Well, the battery is this one we know. It's flat, yes. Why don't you remember the word? Why don't you? Oh, not many people remember this one. Why don't you plug it in? Well, I can't because this thing is too far. What's the thing? A socket, thank you. Then use the, right, that was the more difficult one. Use the, what do we call it? Asked you about it at the very beginning. Yes, it's an extension cord or a lead. Well, depending if it's British or American English. One more, if you like doing one more. Okay, let me show you. What are you doing? What am I doing? This man holding some wrench. What are you doing? I'm fixing, right, or maybe repairing this. What's the thing in the picture, the green, red thing on the ground? Yes, I'm repairing this hose. Why? Because it's water stripping. So might be some hole somewhere. It's leaking. Very good. Well, are you using something we talked about when talking about a torn book? Are you using tape? Exactly. Thank you, Maria. And tape doesn't last, right? You will not be able to. Well, it won't solve your problem for a long time in the long run, you could say. So I'm using a. Well, this is a more difficult one, but Janusz has an answer, and some people say. So I'm using a clamp. Very good. Alrighty. Good. Thank you. So now, what's extremely important when repairing or fixing things is remembering about or taking safety measures. So let's now focus on these. So to start with, let's have a look at some warning signs and also some labels. I'll ask you where you can see them, and we'll also talk about some dangerous situations or hazards, not necessarily connected with repairing things. Okay, so if you look at these warning signs, the first one, What does it mean? And where can you see it? This one probably means, yes, wear a hard hat. Where could you see such a sign? Anyone? Yeah, of course, that would be a building site probably. Now, wear ear protection. Anyone? So probably in a place where it's really loud and noisy. Not really a headphone, you could just say ear protection. So that could be what? Perhaps a production hall, right? A production line maybe, where it's really noisy. And wear safety boots, so you wouldn't like your feet to get hurt if something heavy landed on them. Probably a plant or factory. Right, now don't touch because you might lose your finger. Perhaps some machine, a blade, right? What's this one? Be careful, slippery floor. Right, so perhaps it's wet or greasy and you might fall, maybe a restaurant, a toilet, right? Now don't enter, right? Some place which is not safe. Now let's have a look at more safety hazards. And actually, here's a task for you, right? So let us study these safety hazards on the left and try to match them with, well, what could happen? What could be the consequence of them on the right, say the red ones? So don't leave things lying on the floor. Why not? Which red sentence on the right would you match with it? Don't leave things lying on the floor because yes, the second one. One can trip and fall, exactly. Now, wear short-sleeved shirts, like a t-shirt, or roll up your shirt sleeves. Why? Free clothing can get caught up in machinery. That's right. And don't take the safety guard of this machine because you could cut yourself or even lose your finger. Right, let's have a look at some more. Do not use electric tools if the work area is wet. Check if plugs are earthed or grounded. What does that mean? So if something is earthed or grounded, you make electrical equipment safe by connecting it to the ground with a wire. Which one would that be? What would be the consequence? Of course, one can get an electric shock. Thank you, Ivana. You must wear goggles. Why? It's kind of obvious, right? Of course, that's number 2. You could injure your eyes, you could hurt your eyes. Now, warning, highly flammable. So that's something the picture represents. So something can be easily set on fire. Alright, now let me show you more warning labels. Where could you see something like that? Fragile, handle with care. Where? Yeah, exactly. On a box, what would be inside the box? Glass, yes, so you must be very careful, of course. It's fragile, that's right. Now, what about this one? Caution, use handrail. So this is the kind of thing you hold for balance, not to fall. Where would you see something like that? Yeah, exactly. Slippery floor. It could be escalator, the moving stairs, like in a shopping center. What about this one? Forklift trucks. Where would you expect to see such a sign? Yeah, a plant, a factory, of course. Caution. Do not operate this machine without guards, safety guards in place. Well, obviously on a machine, like in a factory again. Now, danger, overhead crane, kind of vehicle for lifting heavy things. Where would you expect to see it? Yeah, of course, a building site. Now, thank you for not smoking. Where especially is it very important not to smoke? Of course, yeah, a petrol filling station, thank you. Another one, caution, flammable liquids. Where would you? Yeah, of course, perhaps a warehouse, exactly, where some flammable liquids are stored, exactly. Now, employees must wash hands. Yeah, well, could be anywhere, probably. Yeah, exactly, like a restaurant. Now, please wait to be seated. well, that's perhaps not connected with some danger, but still, which place, restaurant exactly? Righty, so you know everything. Now let's collect some more warnings. And a task for you to match the ones on the left with the ones on the right. Where would you expect to see something like keep lid, the cover, securely fastened? Don't drink, don't inhale with your nose, avoid contact with skin. So make sure it does not touch your skin. Oh, right, thank you. Of course, Jan. So it's a container of cleaning fluid. Best before, see bottom of can for the date. Which one? To 18 of tuna. Thank you. Do not attempt to stop the blade with your hand. Right, this one. Well, could have tragic consequences. Of course, it's an electric saw. Right. Do we have more? No. Well, what I would like you to have a look at now is something funny. Did you know that there's an organization in Michigan, USA, that holds a competition every year for the funniest warning labels? Below, you can actually see some examples. So if you could try to match them, the pictures, with the warnings. Right, so what about never use on clothes while they are being worn? Which one's that? What do you think? Of course, it's the iron, yes. Now remove child before folding. Huh, that's really funny. Which one is it, do you think? Sorry, you might have a problem with naming the thing. This could be something you call a buggy in British English. Not exactly a cart, because you can say a shopping cart where you put your shopping. It could be a buggy, a stroller in American English, or a pushchair, right, for a child. And caution, do not spray in eyes, as if you wanted to do that, right? So deodorant. Some more? You want some more? Okay. Warning, may cause drowsiness, sleepiness. Which one is it? Uh-huh. Of course, that that goes with the sleeping pills. Uh, right? So it's kind of crazy because this is exactly what they are supposed to cause, right? Now, what about uh, don't eat toner? That, of course, goes with the color ink cartridges, right? So if you want to eat toner, don't. And not intended for highway use, the wheelbarrow for carrying heavy objects in it. So if you had such an idea to use it on a highway, don't. Well, I hope you liked these and found them funny. Right. That's all from me. Are there any questions, perhaps? Do you have any questions? I'm waiting for your questions. Please use the chat to ask your questions. And in the meantime, back to Maciek.
Dziękuję, Kasiu. Dziękuję Państwu za udział w naszym wieczornym webinarium. To już będzie końcówka naszego spotkania. Pozostały jeszcze pytania. Jeżeli macie Państwo jakieś, to bardzo prosimy o zadawanie ich w okienku, w którym odpowiadaliście przez całe webinarium. Ja jeszcze tylko powiem, że zaproszenia na kolejne webinaria prześlemy pod koniec pierwszego tygodnia września, albo troszeczkę później, 8-9 prawdopodobnie, a materiały dzisiejszego webinarium i link do nagrania prześlemy do Państwa albo jutro, albo w poniedziałek, więc niebawem mogą się Państwo spodziewać od nas kolejnej korespondencji. Widzę, że tutaj pojawiło się pytanie, więc oddam jeszcze na chwilę głos Kasi.
Well, the only question I can see is actually about spawanie. Does anybody know? Because there was a picture in one of the slides showing you soldering, which was lutowanie. What about spawanie? Does anybody know? Can you help me? Help me. Right, this one's welding. Welding is the word. Yep. Great. Well, I can't. Right. I can't really see any more questions, so I'm just gonna say goodbye. Thank you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.